guest. Joining me now, Clint Smith. He is the author of the New York Times bestseller, How the Word Is Passed, A Reckoning with the History of Slavery Across America. Clint, first, congratulations. I want to get your thoughts on this push from Republicans to limit how slavery is taught in school. Why does that matter?
Thank you so much for having me and for the congratulations. It matters a lot. It matters because there is a intentional effort to prevent young people in this country from recognizing our proximity to this period of history. We talk about slavery as if it is something that happened in the Jurassic era, that it was the Flintstones and the Apatosaurus and then slavery. But it was not that long ago. I talk all the time about how the woman who opened the National Museum of African American History and Culture alongside the Obama family in 2016 was the daughter of an enslaved person. My grandfather's grandfather was enslaved. This institution existed for 250 years and it's only not existed for 150. And so the idea that it would have nothing to do with the contemporary landscape of inequality is both morally and intellectually disingenuous, because there are people who are alive today who are loved, who were raised by, who were in community with, people who were born into intergenerational bondage. And that system that, again, was not that long ago, has shaped our social, political, and economic infrastructure in profound and unsettling ways.
Part of writing the book, you visited 8 cities crucial to the history of slavery in this country. What made you embark on that journey? What did you learn?
Well, part of it was originated in 2017 when I saw the statues of Confederate leaders come down in my hometown in New Orleans. So I watched the statue of Robert E. Lee, P.G.T. Beauregard, Jefferson Davis, all come down. And I started thinking about what it meant that I grew up in a majority Black city in which there were more homages to enslavers than there were to enslaved people. And what does it mean that to get to school, I went down Robert E. Lee Boulevard? To get to the grocery store, I went down Jefferson Davis Highway? That my middle school was named after a leader of the Confederacy? That my parents still live on a street named after somebody who owned 150 enslaved people? And these matter because we know that symbols are not just symbols. They are reflective of the stories that societies tell. And those stories embed themselves into narratives that communities carry. And those narratives shape public policy, and public policy shapes the material conditions of people's lives, which is not to say that taking down a statue of Robert E. Lee is going to reduce the racial wealth gap, but it is a recognition that they are all part of an ecosystem of stories and narratives that shape how we understand what a community deserves or doesn't deserve.
Clint, I want to pull up this tweet. It is of you FaceTiming with 2 of your grandparents and sharing the news with them that you had landed on the New York Times bestsellers list. When you talk about your grandfather's grandfather, this is an intellectual pursuit, but obviously this is also really personal. What did that moment mean to you? What did it mean to them?
It was everything. The epilogue is based on conversations and interviews that I do with my grandparents, because I was writing this book over the course of 4 years and realized that I was spending so much time with the historiography of slavery and with the scholarship about the history of white supremacy. And sometimes I think we forget that the best primary sources are the people right next to us. And my grandfather said something when I was FaceTiming him. He was just, I was born in 1930 Jim Crow, Mississippi. I never thought that I would see my son, or that my grandson would be #1 on the New York Times bestseller list. And it just is a reminder that it's so much bigger than us. It's so much bigger than me. And I hope that this book and these stories in this book can tell the story and lift up the stories of so many public historians, teachers, scholars, students, activists across this country who are doing the hard everyday work of preserving the memory of slavery and making sure that we fully account for what it has done to this country and how it continues to shape our country. And so I'm just grateful that I was able to share that moment with my grandparents because it was special, especially for a book that they feature in.
Clint, I am grateful for you. I'm grateful for your time tonight. A reminder, Clint's new book, the New York Times bestseller, How the Word Is Passed, A Reckoning with the History of Slavery Across America, is out now.